we are recording. We are going to continue to talk about various automotive nonsense.
Ooh.
And you know, I know we like to we like to go back and kind of relive our youth a little bit.
Never give up.
Never surrender. And we always try and think about, you know, spend a lot of time talking about cars that we liked or had from yesteryear. That's kind of right in our wheelhouse. And so, with that said, is there anything specific, my good sir, that you wanted to discuss? Because I know we kind of spitballed a couple of things, one of them including some mods of yesteryear and things like that. What do you think?
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to look at those aftermarket trends then versus now, then being, I think, 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. The high school years for us 30 and 40 somethings.
Yes. So let's take us back. I'm going to kick us off, and I'm doing a versus kind of setup here where we're looking at those trends versus what's currently a trend.
Sure.
So the first one I'm going to offer up to you, sir, to critique is body kits.
Sure.
So that's our late 90s, early 2000s.
The old veil side, like Shogun kit, you know, for your whatever, your SC300 or your Civic hatch.
Seldom painted to match the factory color.
Yeah. Front lips always crushed from like hitting, like bottoming out in driveways and stuff and falling apart.
It was just plastic. Versus today's trend of stanced cars.
Ooh boy. Hella flush. Is that worked into that?
I think so.
Is that too Bay Area centric? I know Hella is Bay Area centric. Is that term?
I think
like
that's definitely in the same genus if we're looking at it from a scientific standpoint.
Yes, subspecies.
But yeah, this is the battle of the cringe. I mean, body kits.
Yeah, I was even in period. I was pretty staunchly anti-body kit. Some other mods I thought were cool. I had strongly considered making some terrible mods of cars I owned in the past. When I was, you know, in my late teens, early 20s, and thankfully I never did. But body kits were never one of the ones that I really got into. I just never liked the way they looked. They always looked tacked on and ill-fitting. But with that said, there was always some like factory stuff that was like effectively a factory body kit, but because it was factory, like, oh, you've got the blah 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 package.
Are you thinking Pontiac with their body cladding or?
Sure.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, kind of. You know, and I think we talked about it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but you know, the action pack that you can get on the action kit or whatever it was that you can get on the last gen Celica.
That's right.
And some other cars that had like an add-on one. I think even like your Accord Coupe over here, they had a body kit that you can get from the factory, really understated, but it was like the HPT.
That's right.
Body kit.
Pretty cool.
Versus today versus stance, huh? What's your stance?
Oh, it's
tough.
Stance. Yeah. Picking up what you're throwing out for punnies.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like body kits, some of them got in the way of what the car was supposed to do.
Sure.
But stance has 100% chance to get in the way of your car functioning. I think that's the draw.
Yeah, just like every tire's like completely inner edge worn and like
you've got steel belts showing. You're touching over every like half-inch rise in like a driveway or entering like a shopping parking lot. You're going to be dragging something. And yeah, the handling, the braking, everything goes downhill.
Yeah, I will say I think in most cases, I think I've seen. Man, this is hard because part of me is just like, I know I definitely see some cars that like probably shouldn't have been stanced, but then they were stanced and they actually look kind of good.
Are you talking diet stanced or is it full? I'm talking full
not
stanced.
Like 45-degree
That's what
angle
I'm
stance,
talking about.
but like definitely stanced and like you know it rides like hot garbage, and but it actually looks kind of cool. Like I remember I saw. Maybe for our video enjoyers, I'll have to find like a screenshot of it and find it. But there was I saw a YouTube video of a stanced BMW E9. It's like a 73, like 3.0 CS, like stanced with like big mesh wheels on it.
Okay.
And the video was put together well, and it looked good. I was like, that actually looks really cool. Very, very, like it's rare that happens, but
it's like a serious outlier, right?
Yeah. But very, very rare do I see like a body kit put on something that I'm like, ooh, that body kit absolutely, like that actually works really well. So,
but in retrospect, looking back, some of those body kits were kind of cool. Like some of them are kind of neat. Not on a super valuable car, but on like a more toss away Econo box. I think they looked cool. Like some Civic body kits, when you look at one today, through our like
maybe
nostalgia
it's
glasses.
maybe it's just like something to show like how just like period that car is. But in period, I didn't like them. Out of period, I still don't really like them. You know, it always just screamed like just tacked on, and they were ill-fitting.
So what's the worst offender then, would you say? Body kits from yesteryear or Stance Nation?
I hate to say it. Well, first off, I don't particularly like either.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a challenge.
I might have to be part of Stance Nation on this.
Oh boy.
And I think that's probably the underdog in this fight, because I do think there are some, especially like the old Zender body kits and stuff on like the 80s, like the even earlier stuff. With the what was like the Beverly Hills car catalog or whatever from like way back in like the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna go with Stance Nation, and I don't particularly like either.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather just like blaze my own trail. If I gotta pick a dog in this fight, I'm going Stance Nation.
I'm going with body kits, just because they tend not to impact function of the vehicle as much as a Stance car. I feel like if I had to live with one, I'd rather deal with like some stupid gaudy body kit versus like replacing my wheels every 5,000 miles or my tires. Well, probably my wheels too, actually.
Well, do we want to just jump into wheel talk?
I mean, I think I got some more wheel talk too.
You've got wheel talk, because my wheel talk is like,
you got a good one.
So if we're talking about, I remember, and this would have been late 90s, early 2000s. Getting my copy of, and I never had a subscription. I think I had a subscription to Road and Track for a little bit when I was like in my mid-teens. But whether it was Road and Track or Sport Compact Car, flipping through and getting to, there was always like the double or triple page spread of the wheels and tires.
Yep.
And like you'd have like all the different like custom wheels, and some of them held up really well. Like I'm always a big fan of like the old like mesh wheel style, like Yankee 92s, and what were some of the other ones? I don't even remember. The BBS mesh wheels.
Yeah, BBS were pretty tight.
Those were great, and I think they still look good. You can put those wheels on like a modern car with like, if you can find them in like a 17, 18, and it would look good. But more to the period that we were talking about, like the late 90s, early 2000s, was really starting to get like the early donk stuff where you're like 20s. I remember when the Dodge, I think it was like the 03 and newer Dodge Ram came out, they had the optional 20-inch wheels, and it was like, you can get a truck with 20s on it. It was like this whole thing. But the aftermarket wheels in that period versus aftermarket wheels now.
Good, that's a good one.
Because not aftermarket to stock, because back then there were no stock wheels above like a 17 or an 18 on some stuff.
Yeah, super rare.
So having 20s was like practically a donk then. Versus now, if you have a donk, you're like 28s. Right? So like, I don't want to talk donk because that's a whole other can of worms that we can have Donk Nation on.
Yeah, we should.
But when we're talking, like if you wanted to stand out then, you would have your 20s. And you'd have to remember the 20-inch wheel callouts that people would have on their fenders.
God, yeah, that's right.
Like 20s. And then wasn't that Dubs magazine? Remember that was a magazine that came out in like...
Right around that time.
Yeah, like 2000, 99, 2000,
everything
2001.
Everything was chrome too, right? We're missing that, like, aftermarket wheels, even sporty, doing air quotes for those not watching.
Do you remember the spinners?
Yeah,
I was going to say the original
those were
Speedwells?
Pricey. The legit spinners were actually super pricey. And they're still pricey, I think.
I think so.
If you can track
they have like all the knockoff ones, like I don't even remember. It's like Velocity.
There's plastic hubcap covers that had spinners on them. I remember.
Dude, yeah, you get those at your local Pep Boys
or your Family Dollar.
Shout out Family Dollar. I saw. You know what? I just saw Family Dollar. As I said, I was in Atlantic City, and there was a Family Dollar in Atlantic City.
Did you buy a $1 steak or inquire?
We didn't buy a $1 steak. We didn't have ping pong balls. Definitely used for playing table tennis.
Yeah,
and so. We ended up, we did like we're going off the rails here, but that's okay. We did the, like a DoorDash, not DoorDash. I guess, what's the one for just like, hey, bring me groceries? I mean, it's Atlantic City. I promise you can hire hookers to bring you groceries.
Instacart.
Instacart, thank you. Things I don't use. and like condoms. But so we Instacarted from Family Dollar, and because like on there like you could order like ping pong balls, and so we're like, well, we don't want to do just like $2 worth of ping pong balls on Instacart, so we added like, well, we'll need toilet paper, and people are gonna need like, Gatorade and things like that at this bachelorette party, and then everything showed up except for the ping pong balls. They like refunded us the $2 for the ping pong balls.
Wow.
So it was a completely worthless, fruitless Family Dollar adventure. But that's my experience with Family Dollar.
Is that, to be fair, is that, we'll keep it off the rails. Is that like when you go to buy your first porno mag and you buy like a candy bar and like a TV guide and a bunch of other stuff to kind of take
you wear like
yourself?
a ball cap and sunglasses and like a turtleneck and like...
And they're scanning it and they're like, can I get a price check on this issue of like Backdoor Bandits Volume 3?
Exactly, yeah. Gazungas or whatever it is. Whatever the hot magazine at the time was. Not that I ever did that. But
Never.
The spinners. So correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe everyone chime in and add to the comments. I think the original spinners, I don't even think it was like Rolls Royce, because Rolls Royce has the floating center cap,
which is still super cool.
Which is super dope.
Yeah.
The Spreewell, I think it was literally Latrell's former NBA superstar Latrell Spreewell launched his own wheels, Spreewells, and I think the Spreewells were the original spinner, and they were like 20 grand for a set in like 99 money.
I don't know if maybe there was like another brand, but he definitely made it big. I remember that name associated with it. But again, not super read up on spinners, but they were huge. But everything was chrome, right? Even like sport wheels. Like,
you'd have chrome. Yeah, it was basically chrome, occasionally polished.
So what's today's equivalent you're comparing?
Well, everything is like today. It's all. And quick before we get off the spinner, do you remember the spinners that had like the LED lights built into them?
Oh yeah.
So when you would drive at speed, they would spin, but it would display an image, like the sequence of the blinking lights when combined with the speed of the wheel, you'd be able to write like "call me girl" and have like your phone number on your rims while you're driving on the freeway.
Pager number, yeah.
Yeah. So those were exactly 143. So you can do that. But today. You've got what? The Murdered Outlook. It's almost tired because it's been out for a while.
You picked my comparison for the next one.
That's what it is.
It is the big chrome wheels versus Murdered Out is exactly how I wrote this on my notes.
Murdered Out. And it's Murdered Out, and even now, depending on where you're at, like if you're in like the, and if you're part of this crew, I love you, so don't take this the wrong way. But if you're part of like the drift scumbag, like slammed Miata with like the stuffed animal hooked to the tow hook and bouncing off the tire, and like one fender's covered in stickers and things like that.
Yeah.
If you're part of that crew, that's like the more aftermarket wheels where they're like hyper bright colors, right? Like your mint chocolate chip green, or your your bright pink, painted bright orange, and the car's blue, things like that.
Which started with like rally and rallycross and that kind of exciting.
Kind of, yeah. Those were like mostly
really
white or body color, which was cool. But yeah, like now you've got, like with the Murdered Out versus the chrome.
God, Murdered Out though.
I generally don't like chrome wheels.
Yeah.
Some notable exceptions on some vehicles where they just kind of fit. Like if you've got like a 2002 Cadillac.
I was going to say Cadillac.
Eldorado, the ETC, Eldorado Touring Coupe. You don't have black wheels on that car. You have to have chrome wheels on that car.
That fits that. Black wheels it takes away.
Yeah. But like you go to any like configurator on any new car's website. Are you going to find a chrome wheel option? No.
Very rare.
You will find several black wheel options. In fact, you can order like, I want to get this package because it comes with these cool things, but you could only get it with black wheels. And I'd rather have painted.
Trucks are holding
polished
down.
wheels.
Trucks are still offering chrome package, but you know what's funny though is you remember like the Ultima Midnight Edition.
The Midnight Edition. Absolutely.
When it gets a factory option for Murdered Out, it's been overplayed, right? Especially if it's a Nissan Altima.
Yeah, your Ultima or your Rogue.
Midnight Edition.
But then, do you remember on that part? Do you remember the Nissan? I think it was also the Rogue. They had the Chrome Edition, KROM. With like the little I think it had a little tilde over the O or something. It was like the chrome edition.
It had like the chrome trim around the doors or something.
The chrome trim around the doors. I think maybe it came with chrome wheels. Yikes. And it had like weird center exhaust.
So they offered two horrible trim levels.
Yeah, like chrome tips. Yeah, exactly. Two. So they were pandering to the likes of you and me.
Exactly my second one. I think great minds think alike, or horrible, twisted minds think alike in this case.
Well, since I stole that, and so
who's the bigger winner and who's the loser in this one? If we stack them against each other. Murdered Out versus Chrome.
Well, Murdered Out. Well, it's funny because you can take that different directions, right? Like there's just the blacked out wheels, and then the rest of the car's not murdered.
That's not murder. That's not murder, dude. That's like that's domestic assault.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like manslaughter. But they have
vehicular.
Exactly. Yeah, involuntary manslaughter. Out. But then like same with chrome, because you see a car with just chrome wheels. But then like, do you remember like the chrome like the stick-on chrome like edge molding protectors for like the wheel lips and the edge of the doors, and then the chrome stick-on mirror caps and like the fake chrome fender porthole vents.
The Buick vents on non-Buick cars.
Exactly. Yeah, like a Civic. And then just chrome everything. You know, you get like the chrome foil tape and put it on like the upper door pleat going up and down the pillars and stuff. Like, so it depends on how murdered out or chromed out if you want to go. If I had to go full murdered out versus full chromed out, I think I would have to go murdered out. However, if I was just black wheels versus chrome wheels, I think I go chrome. God,
it's a tough one.
Here's the thing. I would go, if it's black factory wheels versus chromed factory wheels, I think I go chromed.
Okay.
If I go aftermarket wheels, every chrome aftermarket wheel is a disaster.
Yeah.
And so I think I would have to go black. Because there are good black aftermarket wheels, there are no good chrome aftermarket wheels.
Wheel technology has come a long way. So a black or satin black is a solid like aftermarket, keeps brake dust down for track cars.
Yeah.
I know there's reasoning behind it, but I'm with you. I go with murdered out, gets the edge on this one versus chromed out.
Yeah, especially if we're talking full vehicle.
Yeah,
you know,
3M, double-sided tape, chrome, Pep Boys package.
Yeah, the chrome tape that goes around like the tail lamp. They like surround the tail lamp edge and chrome.
Remember they used to cover a wheel, like fender flare rust with those? They had the 2-inch strip that you put up and you're like, oh, that looks really cool. He's like, don't take it off.
Yeah.
What's structural at this point?
Well, since I stole your murder versus chromage, do you got another one?
I do, I certainly do. So we've got the contemporary on this one is Burble Tune.
Ooh,
exhaust. Okay. And the old school version of this was the traditional fart can.
Yep. Yeah. I'll have to go Burble Tune.
Oh.
Just flat out. You know, I'm gonna shoot from the hip. I'm gonna go Burble Tune. Because rare was it that the fart can was like either A, on a good vehicle,
of course,
and B, actually sounded like interesting, where like you perk your ears up a little bit to see what it is, right? Like I feel like that's the test, right? Like you don't see a car, you know, you're eating a well-crafted, Reuben sandwich, and you hear something go by you, and if your ears perk up and you look to see what it is versus seeing how angry you are, those are the difference. I think the fart can, I would look up and be like, what is this idiot doing? Versus the Burble Tune, like I would be like, I would look and then make the judgment call depending on what I'm looking at, right?
Fair.
So I think just that quick versus that, I think I'm just gonna go Burble Tune. I have like no real good fond memories of fart can exhaust, other than maybe it birthed the Crazy Frog ringtone from the early 2000s.
Maybe.
Do you remember the Crazy Frog?
I do.
Ding, 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 ding. It was like a ringtone that was awful and had this like weird cartoon frog, and like they'd have the commercials on the TV, like
it was an effective.
Text this number to download this, ringtone, and it's only like $8 a month to have a ringtone on your Nokia. Yeah. So I'm going Burble. What's your thoughts there?
I mean, at the end of the day, this is the sound battle between an angry beehive and unburnt fuel being dumped out of your exhaust and eat your catalytic converter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. This is really tough because fart cans, when you put it on a high revving VTEC, which it often was back in the day, it kind of made it cool. Like it was unique. Like you could definitely tell it was a Honda. You could hear the VTEC a little better. The switch over.
I will say there is there's a visual with the fart can that to me
5-inch tips.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you see the 3/4 inch like pea shooter exhaust go into just like this coffee can that's like enormous.
You could throw a watermelon into it.
Like the bros with the bro dozers and the Monster Energy sticker in the back window of their truck. that like roll coal with the just like enormous, like you can like shoot hoops into the smokestack, come and like they cut the hole in the floor of the bed and have it come up.
Kind of the same.
It's like the modern take, the modern redneck take on it.
The Angry Beehive was kind of funny, but yeah, it's hard to say because the funny thing is like the burble tune on like a exotic sounds cool, but the burble tune on like a G35 automatic.
A Versa with a CVT.
Yeah, it's just like. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's some burble, and then you got the backfire burbles, which is horrible.
Well, that was pre-actual burble tune and just poorly tuned. My first car, my Barracuda, when I bought it, it had it was probably maybe 2-inch exhaust, all the way back, no crossover, just twin pipes right off the exhaust manifold with like 24-inch glass pack mufflers.
Sure.
With like half the glass blown out of it. So if I held it like if I was like going down my local 2-lane each way bigger road by my house, 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I'd come up red light, and I come to red light, I pull it in the second gear and let off, because it was just like straight through exhaust and no crossover, and probably not properly tuned 2-barrel V8, and it was just like that's what it was.
That's all these guys do is like get on the highway, let off the gas, blah 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 blah. But like then the Fiat Abarth 500 sounds amazing with the factory.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Setup, no muffler.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give you the edge to burble tune, but there is a fondness for those old fart can Civics. Just. Yeah.
My favorite was when they would just drive around town like full throttle, but like never above like 2,400 RPM. Like,
never above 30 miles an hour.
Just obnoxious. Or the opposite of like driving around the mall parking lot and the parking garage at like full chat in first gear, like just cruising like 4,500 RPM, just like trying to like pick up chicks with your super noisy exhaust, which like would never ever work.
What are you talking about? You could hear panties just dropping. That's the only thing you could hear over the fart can exhaust.
Apparently.
The sound of wet panties.
Chastity belts exploding.
Slapping on the ground.
Before we run out of time on this one, I don't know how big your list is. Huge, girthy. Do you have? Because I've got one.
Huge as.
So the world of audio, and it's been a long time since I really looked at like people's audio mods.
Oh, yeah.
Like recent, but back in the day it was like you had like your huge doubled in, CD player. Maybe you've got the changer in the back, the 12-disc changer if you're really balling.
Yeah.
And you have like the like the little LED pegboard situation with maybe a swimming dolphin or like raindrops falling into a pond.
Cars.
F1 cars like driving aggressively. Maybe it has like possibly 3 different colors that are on the display, things like that.
You're right.
So that was kind of fun, and then like subwoofers, bazooka tubes,
custom,
huge graphic equalizers. You had, maybe like if you were really up there, like cutting edge, like the DVD that comes out.
Ooh.
And comes out and folds up, and then so you can watch, reruns of Perfect Strangers ported to DVD or whatever you're watching.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Bartokovich. But then you had the, I remember Circuit City. Yes, that's when this was going down.
Yeah.
Do you remember that the in-car mini disc players?
It was like kind of remember.
It was like pre-MP3 player stuff, and like right at the end. This was like right when DVDs were like people actually buying for the house, and so it was like it won't skip. Like it's a little mini. It was basically like a tiny CD and like a cartridge, and it was like a Sony mini disc player, and like you can read and record to it and stuff. And it's like you can record your radio to this mini disc.
What?
And I remember at the time I was like, this is going to be obsolete tomorrow. And people were like, oh, this is sick, I'm going to buy. Like, they were selling them like at Circuit City and all these places. I was like, this is silly. And like, yeah, sure enough, like 3 years later, it was like completely obsolete.
Could you play it in your Sony Explode system?
Absolutely, yeah, with your square
Explode
speakers.
Was so cool, yeah, with the exposed plastic.
Yeah, the silver painted and the red.
Dude,
yeah.
This is a tough one because what's today's modern equivalent?
So that's right. So that's what I don't really know. I know the modern equivalent. Obviously, everything is
Apple
Bluetooth.
Carplay.
Yeah, you have your Aftermarket Apple CarPlay,
which is sweet.
And
I mean, don't get me
Auto.
wrong, super sweet.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't even have. There's like really no input other than like maybe an aux input and a Bluetooth capability, which is honestly all you need. Like I get it, But there's something about like having your. Do you remember like, cruising around and you have your like 105 disc like fold up like catalog of all your burnt like mixtapes, like cruising mixtape number 69, and you put it in and listen to Third Eye Blind or whatever you'd be doing.
Dude, I fondly remember cruising around with this chick I was dating back in this time period.
Yeah.
And remember the sun visor CD cases?
Yeah, you
we
have
went
like
around
12
the corner. We went around the corner quite aggressively. She was driving, and like half of her CD collection went out the window. And she was like cool with it, and I'm like, that's a red flag, but I'm down for the danger.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a fond memory.
Yes.
You know what? Give me my 12-inch sub and my custom plywood box and 2 amps jammed under the seats and everything wired by my friend. The radio gets hot after an hour. Give me that.
Yeah, you've got the chrome. You've got the what was like the really.
It pops out of your center console every time you hit the brakes or accelerate too hard.
Yeah, you're like cheap, bought on the like, fledgling young eBay.
Oh man.
Like Autobahn, like flame speaker covers.
Hell yeah. Give me
all,
that.
All that stuff.
Give me the 90s, early 2000s.
Monster cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fun. It's definitely it's just funny though. You say like the homemade box. I was like, oh yeah, the homemade stuff plywood box, and it weighs like 85 pounds because it's just made with like like inch and a half thick particle board and like just whatever you had on hand, huge like sheet metal screws. Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer. It's definitely got more soul and more character than other. I see so much so that I don't even know what people are doing right now, other than just like
that's it. I think that's
MP3 player,
streaming to your car.
That's it. No soul. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, dude.
I think we're pretty much up against it. You got anything else to throw my way?
No, that was fun. That's a good comparison. I think we nailed it. We both came up with the same stuff, so.
Yeah. And speaking of coming up with the same stuff. Not to, I might kind of spoil the lead here in a minute, but I did end up with a newer vehicle. Not newer, but like a different, I purchased a different vehicle.
New to you.
New to me. And it's in the world, it lives in the realm of fuel economy and like, potential hypermiler. And you yourself have an economy daily driver.
That's right.
And so let's talk about getting some good MPGs, because normally we do not play in that space. Although gas here in the Bay Area is like right about $5 a gallon.
It's nationwide. It's
not pretty anywhere.
It's
significantly unpretty here. And so instead of getting the 17 point something miles a gallon out of my van, I picked up a 2004 Honda Civic Hybrid with a 5-speed. And I know I kind of teased it in the last episode or so. I'll talk about that part specifically more in detail once we get to the project car stuff, because I did a little bit of work on it.
But Civic Hybrid?
Hybrid, yeah.
Wet panty alert.
There we go. All right. Well, it is a 5-speed, so which
I was talking about my panties.
Exactly. I'm saying your thong is in poor shape right now, front and rear, and so I wear it backwards. Yeah, they call that splitting the D.
Yes, parting the C.
Exactly. The red or white C. So the whole thing with that is like getting good fuel economy. Is it fun? Can it be fun?
Yeah.
You have your own, and you've had it for a while.
I have for quite a while.
Nice, sensible economy car for driving. How do you make that fun? Because I'm new to this role. I need your education. I need your stewardship.
Yeah, so 2012 Lexus Ct 200H, which is just a fancy Prius for those following at home.
Nice car though, I like that.
They're a great car. You get out of all the stigma of driving like a Prius.
Yeah.
Definitely looks...
You get the stigma of driving a Lexus. It's a different.
It's a little different. It's 4 times aesthetically pleasing as a Prius. The interior is much nicer.
Mm-hmm.
But everything's there. Drivetrain, powertrain, same thing. But the thing is, I find it engaging. And I talked about it. I did a review, obviously, on my YouTube channel. Check it out.
What is that YouTube channel, by the way?
Auto Obsessive Garage.
Yeah, somebody should check that out.
Yeah,
pretty one more person. That's you. I'm talking to you.
Go ahead and subscribe. Check out these videos. So with the fuel economy minded driving, you're anticipating your braking zones.
Yes.
You're accelerating patiently. You're actually looking ahead more and doing everything you can to keep that fuel economy high. So I think it's super engaging for me anyway, and the return on investment's clear.
Yeah, and I've tried to do some of that in the past with stuff that like isn't particularly economical.
Sure.
So when I had my WRX 2002, you know, a true hyper miler.
Oh, absolutely.
One day I was just like, what kind of true fuel economy can I get out of this thing?
Yeah.
I just baby it for a tank, like engine off coasting on the freeway. I had
the only person to ever do this.
I had a Cobb access port at the time.
Oh.
The early Cobb access port, which for those not in the know, it's just like it's an OBD2 device. You plug it into your OBD2 port, and you can upload different maps.
Yep.
Right. There was even one. So the typical one is like, you know, it's like, oh, like here in California, you would set it up for, they called it stage 1, which up the boost and change rev limiter and some other things. But you would also you know, you could set it for 91 fuel here. If you were out of state, you could do 93.
That's right.
Change some of the
On the
mapping a
fly,
little bit.
yeah.
But there was a security mode, which was interesting. So if you went on vacation, you'd plug it in, you put it in security mode, which would crank no start, and then you unplug it, and then you just lock that up in your house or whatever, and then the car's bricked, like you can't move it.
Yep.
There was also a quote unquote economy mode. So I put it in the economy mode. I didn't notice, I mean, it was down on power, but other than that, I don't know if it just pulls boost or what it does, but I don't think, it's not like adding a lean bird
It's
set
hard
or something.
timing a little bit.
Probably a little
You think
bit.
an alarm went off at Cobb, or like someone's trying the eco mode? My God, we've never tested it.
Yeah. So I put it in the economy mode, and I did like, and I drove around, and I wanted, this one I was at college, I want to say I got like 30, 31
That's unbelievable.
out of it. And another time I like beat the snot out of it for like 100 straight miles, and I got like 9 miles a gallon.
It all balances out.
Exactly, yeah, trying to find balance.
Life.
So I was pretty successful with that, and so I was like, okay, I picked this car up. So it's a 5-speed,
Super cool.
and I'm trying to. It's pretty cool. It is. Don't let the 5-speed fool you. It is not a sporting vehicle.
Wouldn't
doesn't handle
have
like
thought
it.
that. Yeah,
You know, it's in good shape. It's got 99,000 miles.
it's pretty good.
But you know, it's not sporting. It's but it's different because it's a whole different ball of wax as far as the way that hybrid setup is as compared to a Prius.
Yep.
Because yours is, what do they call that? Like would that be called a series system or a
I
parallel
believe it's
system?
called an Atkins.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is an Atkinson system.
Close. Yeah, mine is.
Particularly, yes. So it's different. So it is, the engine is there's no electric only in this thing, like there is in a Prius.
Yep.
Right?
Under 45 miles an hour in certain conditions when the battery's full electric.
Yes, correct. Does not exist in this system because you basically have a small, I think it's like 14 horsepower little electric motor that's sandwiched almost like a, you know, almost like a sandwich between the whole clutch pack system, between the transmission.
It's like Scottie Pippen in NBA Jam, just there for the assist.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Yeah, or Joe Thornton for your Sharks fans out there.
Yep.
Thornton to Chichu. So it's different. Like you can't just cruise around on it. And so, like your car, in theory, should get better gas mileage in the city
I'm sure it
than
does.
it does on the highway.
Yep.
Versus this car, it's much more of an old school approach because it'll actually, if you're, I think 65 or under in 5th gear, it will do like a lean burn, almost like the old like Civic VX.
Funny
and the
story
old
about
HF.
that.
Yeah.
Not in California though.
Really?
So yeah, you don't know the story on the lean burns? This is an interesting one.
On the VX
Yeah.
or on including my car?
It might include yours too.
Okay, I'll have to do some homework.
So-
Educate me, my friend.
Here you go, guys. So you think California is on top of their fuel economy, you know, with smog and all that kind of stuff. So there were the Civic VX, just to bring you guys up to speed that Frank's alluding to here, is a fuel economy built Civic, much in the vein of the CRX HF
Right.
from that period. So
And
this
that's
is a 1.5 liter VTEC engine
VTEC E.
that had VTEC E that had lean burn and ran extremely fuel economy minded, like super fuel sipper. It was like 55 miles per gallon highway. Is what it
Right.
was
Yeah, and it would do,
originally
in lean burn it would go instead of like, because you know Stoic is what 17.8 to 1
Yeah, and it would go to like
fuel ratio. It would go to like 24 or
20
something.
something. Yeah,
like that.
27 to 1. It was ridiculous, except there were two versions: Federal, California.
Yes.
The Federal had that.
This does ring a bell.
California got rid of it because it didn't meet fuel or smog emission standards.
Too high on NOx.
I think so, but it was only in lean burn, but it balanced out because it wasn't burning through that much fuel.
Sure.
So technically, it was probably better for the environment to have the federal version.
Right.
Regardless, it made a 10 mile per gallon difference. So the California ones only made like 40 miles per gallon versus 55 on the federal.
Yeah.
I had a federal one in California.
Nice.
Sneaky.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, don't rat me out, bro.
Bread.
I know the guy. Anyway, yeah, so that's how that works. So the lean burn wasn't allowed. And you might have lean burn in yours, but it's probably like a dumbed down, like not as serious. Because there's no way they can do it because lean burn in itself is super lean, which produces a lot of
NOx.
Yeah, you would feel smog.
NOx. But I almost wonder if they're...
You might want to look it up. There might be a version for yours too.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Who knows? Maybe because of like it's like a P
hybrid. The VX also the VX wasn't a hybrid, guys. Just to clarify, it was a straight up naturally aspirated 1.5.
And that was what 92 or 93 to like 95.
Yep, it only ran for a few years. Yeah, and it was the hatchback, so kind of based off the CX DX.
Correct. With the little like magnesium 13-inch wheels.
So cool. Yeah, lightweight 13s. The later ones came with 14s.
But so this is much to say about
spiritual successor.
Well, it is a spiritual successor. Yeah. Well, almost. Kind of, yeah, because it is, but like also I would almost put the Insight more in that category. Well, I guess the Insight is more the spiritual successor to the CRX HF because it's a two-seater at the same kind of profile.
Where did those go? You used to be able to find those for $3K.
The Insights?
Now they're gone. Yeah.
Well, they've all been either like crushed into a cube and recycled because they're all aluminum, or they are in someone's like extreme mega hypermile project when they're trying to get 180 miles a gallon.
Did you know they were built alongside the NSX?
Yeah, because they had all the aluminum tooling and everything, right? Yeah.
Super cool.
And I've driven one of those, which you can get. They made that 5-speed too, which is
super light.
They're super light. They're kind of fun. There's like the world's smallest turning radius.
Cool gauge.
Complete depth trap. Like if you got sandwiched between two big rigs, it's like game over.
But you don't have a lot of fuel to burn up around you.
That's true. Yeah, it's a dry death. So I think there is some joy, and as you said it, like I've kind of, as I've been driving this car, I've only got maybe 400 miles on it so far, and I'm still not through my first tank of gas.
Makes sense.
And I put like 9 point something gallons in it.
And it takes regular, which is
takes regular. Yep. Yeah. So you're right. There is a certain. It's more like. There's a little bit of video gamesmanship in it, so to speak, where like instead of like paying more attention to the road and like the way things feel, you're paying more attention to your instrument cluster. You're getting feedback on like what are, what's my current instant economy? Am I going up? Am I going down? Okay, there's a hill up ahead. So I'm going to get a run up to it on the flat so I don't have to hammer it, and then I'll lose some speed, but I'll have a good, and then on the way back down I'll make up for it. Or on mine, because because it's a 5-speed, it'll only regen in gear. It's not like a CVT. So if I'm coasting down a hill and I'm in neutral, I'm doing 0 regen. So
you can't do my old trick with the VX, shut it off, put it back to the on position so you can still steer and everything, and just coast.
Well, you could. These cars has an auto start stop in scenarios like that, but it's really not aggressive enough. I wonder if I'm gonna look and see if there's like a tune out there. Because it only seems to kick on like under 20 miles an hour in certain scenarios.
Okay.
Versus if I'm coming down the hill, because it uses the IMA motor to restart the engine.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not like it's like where you would do that, put it on, and then you'd have to put it neutral, and then you'd have to start it with the starter,
right?
Or put it in gear and let the clutch out. It's not that. This one, when you put it, if you put the clutch in, let's say you're at a stop, it'll go auto start off and shut off, which is lovely because then you get to sit there and hear the birds chirping. There's no engine.
Oh, it's wild, right?
Life's a great place to be. The moment you put the clutch in and put it in gear, before you let the clutch out, automatically start the motor up. Really smooth. You don't hear the starter. It just. Whoop,
kind of like that with the
you don't even
Lexus.
notice it. Yeah, very similar. But if you want to, so let's say you're going uphill and use a lot of your electric assist to get up that hill. It has a battery beating you get under, say, 50%. But now you're going back down the hill. You have a choice to make, my friend. Do you put it in fifth, let the clutch out, and let VGen hold you at a proper speed, and then bring your battery back up for future assist purposes?
Yeah.
Or do you put it in neutral and coast, and just have that bad boy sit at idle, and potentially, if the auto off portion of the stop for the engine, the gas engine, was more aggressive, you know, I'd like, hey, I'm going 65 down a hill coming back from Reno or something, where you're going to go 35 miles in a straight, just going on a downhill.
Right.
I'd love to be able to shut the motor off in that instance, and I guess I could manually.
You could.
I don't think it would auto start. I think it'd have to old school start it again.
You would, most likely.
So I don't know. I'll have to do. Here's the thing on these cars, just like those Insights. People do all kinds of goofy mods and all kinds of hacks to
the
try and
VXs have a lot of that, like aero mods,
Right.
weight reduction.
Yeah, the huge like 70-foot boat tail behind you.
Yeah, the radiator block offs, to block air from hitting the radiator.
So I'm sure somebody out there has like a mod where like you just push like you put like a dip switch on top of the shift knob or something to like auto activate the off portion of the auto stop start, and then when you put it, and then you can put it neutral, and then right when you put it in gear, it'll start it up again before you even let the clutch out. So I'm gonna do some homework there, but like
we're nerding out hard here, guys. I apologize for anyone tracking.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like that's the point, right?
Yeah,
it's not like we get to nerd out about good fuel economy. It doesn't always have to be about like Nürburgring times and.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. It's another way to look at it, right? It's another performance metric to get excited about. With mine, I don't know if you have any kind of readout, like how your system's working. So mine has the premium package, which has the nav screen.
Yes.
That can switch over to like that Prius screen where it shows the battery charging and the
arrows
wheels moving.
Yep.
So cool. Like if I'm actually trying to get the best fuel economy, I'll have that bad boy up.
Yeah.
And I'll be watching that. It's so, and it's a cool party trick still. Like, you know, I show my 5-year-old, it's like, whoa, we got more green, Dad, or that's super cool.
The battery's almost charged.
Whoa,
Exactly.
full electric coming up.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Compared to your car, this car is very rudimentary. Like inside, it's a Civic. The only difference that you have when you're inside is like in the instrument cluster, there's a readout for battery, and then next to the tach, there's a little green LED that says auto stop. So that way, it lets you know, like, let's say you're coasting, and you put it in neutral and you let the clutch out, it'll let you know, when the idle drop, when you just see the tach drop to 0, you can go, oh God, like did my car stop? It'll blink to let you know, like, hey, it's okay, I did this on purpose.
Right.
So otherwise, you don't get the cool display and like the different cycling, you don't get any of that.
Half the reason I wanted the Insight, that old Insight. I know there's multiple generations of Insight. We're talking about the first gen. Yeah, that gauge cluster, full digital, so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And you can get a manual.
Yeah, it had been a manual. I would love one of those, except, you know, with a kid, like, I can't in good conscience, like, haul around a kid in the first gen Insight.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like, it seems irresponsible, like that. Because those cars, I think, were much like the Elise, where they got, like, a special...
Just so you guys know, there's an Miata sitting next to Frank.
We're not going to talk about that.
With a car seat.
We're not going to talk about that. Or the fact that, like, it just randomly loses power on the freeway.
It doesn't anymore.
Fixed.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, it's fine. So I guess what I'm getting at is, there's lots of ways to have fun with this. You can do it. I'd love to get the first gen Insight, but this was the next closest, and I got it for a song.
Yeah,
I'll talk about it here in a minute when we go over project stuff, because I had to do a little bit of stuff to it. I'm going to do some more stuff to it, but long and the short of it, you can have your cake and eat it too. When it comes to having fun, being with cars, and getting some good gas mileage.
Yeah, and just some hypermilling basics to recap what we talked about. Just the biggest thing is just, you know, anticipate braking. Like if you don't have to brake, don't brake. Roll slowly to a traffic light. If it turns green, you get to accelerate. You don't come to a complete stop. So looking at traffic ahead of you, which makes it very safe to drive because you're super paying attention. Accelerate evenly, nothing abrupt. Everything's smooth. To get fuel economy, you really got to be smooth. Coasting to stops. The big thing is engine. If you can go manual, like old school, like my VX, which my plates said MPGs.
Oh, MPG's nuts.
Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, just being able to shut off the engine, do that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I find it relaxing, hopping in a fuel economy car, because usually you're worried about, like, you know, the way I drive in like the Miata or my Porsche versus how I drive my Lexus is like two completely different people. You relax, you go with the flow, you're in the slow lane more than not, and you're just enjoying. I listen to podcasts. I find it like super relaxing. Yeah, this especially
I know.
This
I know a podcast. I'll recommend it later.
Another pointless one, perhaps.
Pretty pointless, yeah.
But yeah, dude, and like now that you've got one, I'm excited to see. We should probably do like a fuel economy trip or something.
Yeah,
kind of
just do like a 25-mile loop of some kind and
just to see what we get.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Interesting. Well, I think that's fun. We get to live the lives of fuel sipping, fuel misery-ness, and I don't know if what you're going to read to me as a quiz is anywhere near a good fuel economy special, like the cars that we were just talking about, the Lexus and the Civic Hybrid. But I'm going to find out because I'm going to guess some sort of a vehicle based on some type copy from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Yes.
You're going to read to me. Normally I would shut my laptop, but for full disclosure, if you're watching the video feed here, I'm leaving it open because I'm recording to it right now, and I don't trust that bad things aren't going to happen when I shut this. But I promise you, I have no prior knowledge of this quiz coming my way. Speaking of quizzing, we never talked about truck nuts when we were talking about the mods. Maybe we'll have a truck nut edition.
Volume 2, yeah.
Volume 2. There are 2 of them. But yeah, carry on.
So volume truck nuts.
Exactly.
So we're ready to read the quiz here. He's got 3 guesses, folks. He can ask some hints along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to describe the ad a little bit. So the vehicle is in a bright red paint, front and center in the photo, taking a high-speed corner.
Okay.
And this is a bold statement. We're going to start at bold, so I'm going to read this ad. Let's get into it.
Bring it to me.
Blank. Think of it as a BMW M3 with a $20,000 rebate.
Ooh. Okay.
Car and driver does.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go. You ready for some tech specs? I know you love these.
Right off the rip, we're going straight into the tech specs?
Right into tech specs. These are the ads we love, folks. So 180 horsepower.
Ooh, okay.
2.3 liter quad 4.
One of our favorite engines. They just straight right off the rip. We're playing in the
quad 4.
We're in the GM sandbox.
We need to buy. One of us needs to buy. I've been looking so hard for any car powered by a quad 4.
It'll be shaky. It'll be noisy, but we'll
get it. But V6 power, right?
Yeah.
16 valve dual overhead cam engine. EPA estimated 23 city, 33 highway, so not bad.
Yeah.
Getrag licensed. 5-speed manual. That's interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah. Overdrive.
They only licensed it. It's like a licensed copy. Okay.
You can put our corporate logo on it.
Yeah.
Performance handling package with special sport suspension.
Okay.
Bumper to bumper warranty. Who cares? I can't read the ad slogan here, but after pushing the blank to its limit, what quickly comes to mind for car and driver, another shout out, was another car that cost well over twice the price. So we got the comparison right there in the beginning again.
Yeah, back to the M3.
The limited production M3.
Yeah.
Only a split second and a few RPMs separate its performance.
A few.
This car in question's performance from the infamous European.
Yeah.
Is it really infamous? Yeah.
I don't know about infamous.
Famous,
infamous.
Even with its impressive horsepower.
Such GM marketing speak.
The blank. And even more impressive EPA estimate. Who cares? Blank.
What do you mean, who cares? We just did a whole segment.
But we're comparing to an M3.
That's fair,
if you're cross-shopping an M3, MPG's not even on your list.
Yeah, back then you're paying $1.26 a gallon.
Yeah, who cares? As it turned out, about the only thing Blank couldn't come close to was the BMW's $35,000 price.
Okay.
When it comes to getting top performance but not paying top dollar, more people are winning with the Blank. That's the slogan for this company. Everybody had a slogan back then. And they changed them every other week.
People are winning. Okay.
And
they changed like once every 3 years.
Frank, what the hell are we talking about here?
Well, there's some really good meat on the bone here.
Yeah.
More importantly than anything, just the quad 4. Like, we know the motor. There was a set number of GM vehicles of the quad 4. That's like quad 4 trademarked. Like, that was, that's Hemi, so to speak.
Yep, it is.
So, okay.
The quad 4, to be fair too, just to let you guys know, the quad 4 is kind of like legendary status on our podcast, it appears.
Yes, it is.
It really is a 4-cylinder that had horsepower outputs greater than GM's V6s for more than a decade or so afterward. Which is kind of cool.
In some ways, it's like, that's not a high bar to clear because some of those 6s were so brutally.
But not very often does an automaker go downhill with a bigger displacement.
Yeah, and then, the 4 cylinders after that, were not particularly great until you started getting to, the mid 2000s.
Ecotech.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the Ecotech stuff. So,
Cool. Back to it. What do you got, man?
okay, so we can go old 442. We can go. What was the other, like the fancier version of that same car? Because it was based on the Caligas. I don't even know how to pronounce that thing.
The Conolingus?
No. That's not down on power. It's down, but not on power. There was the they had what was it, like the international. Shoot, I can't remember the name of that one. It'll come to me. I got to come back to it. I don't think that came in the Celebrity Eurosport, which was a dumpster of a car. There was, okay, so that was the old version. The Pontiac, I think you can get that in a Grand Am. I don't remember the trim level of the Grand Am that you can get that in. And I don't know if Grand Am has any business. Here's my thought, is if you're immediately shouting out BMW,
Yeah.
you are trying to be a little bit of a player in the, at least at the time, you wanted to come across as a little bit of a player in the luxury space. Luxury performance space. Much like when we were talking about the G20 ad, it was taking shots at the 325, and I think
Mercedes 190E.
the 190E.
That's right.
Because they were trying to be a player in the entry-level luxury space. I'm trying to remember, I know Oldsmobile also was really hot about pumping the Quad 4.
Yes.
They had the, God, what was that really dope concept car that had like the turbocharged Quad 4? It's called the Tech.
I can't remember.
Aerotech. Oldsmobile Aerotech. They had the Oldsmobile Aerotech. They ran it at Bonneville. They were trying to break like 220 miles an hour and had a supercharged, pumped up Quad 4 in it. And it was their whole thing, like, look how powerful the Quad 4 is.
Yeah.
You should buy this. So I feel like I'm leaning towards Oldsmobile, but there were several other vehicles that was in, like the Grand Am.
Yeah.
It was in the.
I think they jammed it in the Grand Prix too.
The Grand Prix. Grand Prix was always kind of bigger though.
Yeah.
There was, what was the Buick equivalent? There was the Buick. God, so many of us disposable cars. You know what? For the sake
That
of,
hurt my heart, by the way.
for the sake of, I know. And then the Chevy, you can get that. Could you get that in a Beretta GT? I think you could get it in a Beretta GT. You know what? I like my very first inkling on this because I'm picturing it. It looks good in red. The Beretta would be, I could see them doing that in red, but they like their like bright teal in that era. I'm gonna say Oldsmobile 442, and this is like the Calais 442. Final answer, Bob.
Close, but no cigar.
Ooh, okay.
The Calais.
Calais.
442.
Look at this chump over here.
With a manual.
Yes.
I would freaking kill to
I
secure
know.
one of those.
I know.
It did have a Quad 4.
Okay.
You're right there.
And that car was another version of the Calais, the fancier one, because it had like, you got like nicer appointments. It was
Yes.
you got the nicer leather seats version. The 442 I think came with like cloth. It was more basic.
More
It had-
sporty.
Yeah, the bigger motor, or not the same motor, but it had the. It was just the base Calais, but with like the hotter motor and like a two-tone trim, and you had like call outs on the doors.
Yes.
God, what was that? It was like the something international? I don't know. That's another day. So okay. I feel like I'm barking up the right tree, but I still
You're right there.
For sake, do you have a hint for me, my friend?
Can I help you out here?
It's hard because it's
I'm
like,
trying not to give it. It's
Yeah.
really dangerous because if I give the slogan away, you'll get it. I think a lot of them are coupe. This is a coupe.
I'm picturing the coupe.
Okay.
I'm picturing the coupe because I know they put that motor in a couple of sedans, but my head is at this point the M3 was a coupe only. I think. I think
It was so
the
yeah.
M3,
You are.
the M345
Here's the
was
thing.
later. That was
You're
92.
competing with the E30 M3.
Yeah, that's
Does
what I
that
was
help you a
picturing.
little bit? Like lean it down.
No, I mean
more.
it should, but that was already what was in my mind. So
Okay.
okay, those are hints. I'll take those. Because
So definitely a coupe.
I don't know what else you're going to tell me that's
How
not
about if it
giving
has
away.
in the image the wheels match the paint color?
Okay.
Not many of them did that.
I don't remember if the Beretta GT did. I think the Beretta GT did. I think I've got, in my head, it's like I've got 2 more guesses, and I'm going to guess probably the Beretta GT. I might guess the Grand Am. I cannot for the life of me remember the Buick version. They didn't put that motor in the Bonneville. It was too damn big.
They put that sweet ass 3.8 and the SSEI.
I know, the blower on it.
Or the SSE, and then the SSEI, which came a little after this.
Yes. You know what? Chevy Beretta GT, final answer.
You're so close, I'm going to give it to you. Beretta GTZ.
Oh, this is
So
the GTZ.
you had to get the Z to get
It is the
this package.
GTZ.
Yep.
Okay.
And, Beretta GTZ, think of it as a BMW M3 with a $20,000 rebate.
Didn't they also make a GTU, kind of like on the
No, that's
RX-7s?
R7.
I know,
No.
I thought they did
GTZ was the
That was the big dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, so that's it. We're talking about a Beretta GTZ with that 180 horsepower quad 4 with a freaking manual, and you're talking red. I'm going to show you the image. We'll post it up on the screen here.
Yes.
Red with matching red wheels with a fantastic looking
Yeah.
ad. Heartbeat of America.
The backlit with the sun.
What a gorgeous car. I'd kill to have one of those. Quad 4 with a manual.
I will say a cool looking car. I wouldn't call it traditionally gorgeous.
I think it's gorgeous for the period. That and the Bonneville SSE just looked cool. They were trying to European-ize.
Yes.
Look what came before these though, man. Go look at an early to
Corsica.
mid-80s GM product. This is stunning.
While we're talking, and keep talking about this car real quick, I'm going to look up what's in the quad, what motor
There's a
quad
ton.
4 came in.
There's a ton. So you're right. Ultimately had a bunch of variants. The Calais, I would freaking kill.
That's what I'm going to look up with what the Calais.
You have to be careful because at the time is when they started shoehorning V6s into these things with even less power.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, the 3.1s, the 3.4s.
Okay.
Well played, sir. Like,
So you had the Cutlass Supreme. You
Yep.
could get it in the Grand Am. You could get it in the Grand Prix.
okay, that's what I thought.
In the earlier versions, like the 160, 150 horsepower version.
Oh, my turd.
The Skylark. I forgot you can get a Skylark. That was a pointy nose Skylark,
Yes, and the Pontiac Sunbird, I think, too, could get a quad.
right? Sunbird, not Sunfire.
No,
Sunfire
this was the
was
precursor to the
yeah,
Sunfire.
yeah, which is weird.
Sunfire was Ecotech.
And then you get a turbo in the Sunbird, right? A turbo
Yes, you
Sunbird.
could.
Okay, so I'm looking at the. Oh, dude, you can get it in an Oldsmobile like Chiva.
Yes, the Achieva was cool looking when you look
Yeah.
back now with the flat back window.
Dude, okay, I have to make sure this isn't like.
We need to
something
buy
different.
quad fours. We're gonna have to
Dude,
get
you can
nationwide
apparently you can
first.
get that motor in Europe only in the Pontiac Transport, the minivan.
Yes, love the Transport, which was a Lumina, right? Basically,
Yeah,
a
the Lumina
rebadged Lumina.
and the Lumina was it the XPV, the HPV I think.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's the human purpose vehicle. And then the Sunfire GT, 95 only. Sunfire GT.
Sunfire or Sunbird?
Sunfire GT.
Was the Sunfire out in the
95 only.
90s?
Sunfire GT, Cavalier Z24, Grand
What?
Am, and Achieva. Yeah.
Because I know the Z24 came with a 2.8 in the 80s.
Apparently you can get it only in 95 with a balance shaft equipped.
95?
It was
That's
the
later.
only quad 4 produced in 1995, according to the Wikipedia.
Can you get it with a manual?
And then, so you can get it in the Beretta Z26 or the Beretta GTZ, Grand Am SE, Grand Am GT. Okay, the Calais, okay, Oldsmobile Calais International Series.
Yep.
That's the one I was thinking.
Yep.
That's the nicer one. And then they call it the Quad 442. The Achieva SC, which I think was like an extra special version. Oh, that was the they had an Achieva SCX.
Ooh.
Got that 185 horsepower. Oh, or 190.
I mean, that's a good
And that's
number.
pretty- that was kind of the
180 out
rundown,
of a 2.3?
Yeah.
Dude, I need a quad 4. Put it on my list. I'm going to have a quad 4 by the end of the year.
We gotta do it. We gotta keep
With a
it up.
manual.
Quad 4 with a manual. Yeah. Give me that Calais International
Oh my
Series.
god, how good does that thing
With
look?
the
Have you
big
looked at
pleated
pictures?
seats.
It's gorgeous.
Super
The
boxy.
front end's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It looks like a future. It really does.
The future is now, friends.
This Beretta's gorgeous though.
Well, they got it. You
Yeah,
know,
man,
you gave
totally.
me like a little tiny bone with the Z.
Yes.
But,
it's fine.
Okay. We're on
That's
a roll.
good.
We've snacked a couple in a row here.
Well, let's celebrate with some hard drugs.
We should definitely take in some PCP.
Why don't you take the first hit, my friend? Show me
Okay.
some project car progress.
I should.
PCP.
And so I bought the BMW. I'll give you just a quick Cliff Notes version.
Quick.
Bought the BMW, the 325 E90. Bought it for $1,500. Drove it home immediately the very next day. I reached out to a guy I know that's got like I'd mentioned before, he's got like a little, I don't want to call it fly-by-night because that sells them short, but he's got like a smaller independent used car dealership.
Cool.
Long story short, I sold it to him same day. I didn't even touch the registration.
Wow.
The guy I bought it from handed me the title with a signature and no date on it. I went to this guy and handed it to him, and he handed me $3,300 for the car.
Nice.
So I immediately, in 20 hours, made $1,800.
Not bad.
Not bad. I then bought this mild problem child of a Civic Hybrid
Sure.
for $1,500.
Pocket change left.
Pocket
over.
change.
Gas.
$300
Gas
left
for a year probably.
Well, it went towards registration. Because part of the reason I was able to get it for $1,500 had like $800 and something of back due reg on it because it was sitting for a while. Because what happened was the 12-volt battery died. They thought the hybrid battery was bunk on it, so they donated it. Well, they let it sit for a little bit and then they donated it.
Yep.
So I scooped it up from them. I got a good deal on it because I had to pay $1,000, $1,026 to register it.
Back fees, yeah.
Because of the back fees, and then buy the new tag for the next year. It also would randomly stall out. The idle quality was garbage, and it was throwing a check engine light for an evap solenoid stuck shut.
Okay.
And the steering is kind of sticky, we'll put it that way. EPS, I talked about it before a little bit.
Yeah.
So long story short is I bought the car. I registered it. I've got good tags. I've been driving it. As I said, I've got like 400 miles on it. I immediately took it home and I pulled the throttle body off of it. I pulled the idle air control valve and just like soaked the guts of it in carb cleaner.
Yep.
Got a pick tool in there. Cleaned it out, and I just actuated it by hand, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Put it all back together. Perfect. Everything's great. Idle smooth as silk. And it probably just stuck from sitting.
Yeah.
It was sitting for a while.
That'll do it.
You know, so that cured that problem. I still, on my drive over here to record this, I got the check engine light again. I'm assuming that's again for this stuff. Evap solenoid, I think that's just from it sitting again as well.
We can hook my code reader up if you want.
Yeah, I have code reader in the car, so
Okay.
I was just being lazy and it popped up here. I'll check it. But the steering is more complicated. I'm kind of used to it, so I'm not super worried about it. I might just pack miles on it as is. But the other thing I need to do is I need to sort out tires, because the tires are old. They're dry rotted. Good news is I'm comfortable driving it for a tiny bit of time, even though they're pretty rotted out, because I'm not doing 70, 80 in that car. I'm going like 55, 60 at all times for hypermileage sake. But I need to put tires on it. They're 185 70 14s, so there's not a lot of choice in it. Most of them are just like Bob Rums and like weird, you know, Iron Man.
You get these
weird
fly-by-night Treadwear 14s if you want. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I could do that. I don't know how that's gonna. That's not exactly low rolling resistant, but I also don't. The problem is, I'd be better off putting no name tires on it because A, I won't die, and B, I can like crank them like 65 psi and like get the better fuel economy.
Where did my shocks go?
So that's the progress I had. Is unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. I bought a car, I sold the car, and immediately bought a car. So
Sounds
and that's
fantastic.
zeroed. I basically got the Civic for negative $300.
Yeah.
Had to pay some freight on the reg, but
Sure.
otherwise, you know, I'm getting almost 50 miles a gallon and mixed right now. And
Heck yes.
life is good. What kind of hard drugs are you puffing over there?
Oh man, so Tracer is not in the garage right now. It's currently listed for sale.
Oh, okay.
So it's been completely finished. The last thing I did was body work, which I'm happy overall. It was an improvement over burnt paint.
Sure.
Not happy that some of the paint I purchased did not match the factory paint, because otherwise it would look pretty.
Or the
damn
other
good.
paint that you bought.
Yeah, correct.
So it's
which
like
was
three
a dead,
slightly different.
Yeah.
shades.
The it's so close though. I mean, 260,000 miles, you're gonna fade no matter how good the paint is.
Yeah.
So the original one I bought, the Aftermarket Paint Company, was pretty spot on. Looked almost identical. You wouldn't have been able to tell the difference because I did full panels. I never do blending with a car that old. You literally can't.
Yeah.
And then one of the companies was just a poor match, poor quality, like spray splatter out of the cans.
Yep.
Not too happy, but overall, way better than burnt out paint. So the car looks a lot better than it ever has in the past probably decade or two. So that's ready to go. Did a review of that one too.
Ooh,
So
okay.
you want to guess?
Did it just go up the other day?
It did just go up.
Okay, so I got like an alert like on the YouTube subscribe. Click that notification bell, friends.
Yeah.
But I haven't had a chance. I was like sleep deprived and jet lagged from Atlantic City, so I haven't had a chance to watch it. So you want me to guess?
I'll give you a
0 to 60
pass.
quarter?
Yeah, 0 to 60, and I don't know the quarter off the top of my head. Let's just stay with 0
Okay,
to
0 to
60.
60. 260,000 mile Tracer LTS with a manual.
With a 1.8 liter dual overhead
1.8,
fan,
127.
127 ponies.
27 ponies. I'm going to say 0 to 60 in 8.9.
I love that. But remember my Ford Escort, which is the
Oh,
same
I know that V-Box of yours is an absolute heartbreaker.
Yeah, it is a heartbreaker, and we don't do any climate adjustments or any
Sure.
kind of roll. Close. 9.92
Okay.
seconds, 0 to 60. So my Ford Escort GT, which is the exact same powertrain, drivetrain, but 100 pounds lighter, did it in 9.21.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
still healthy for 260, right?
And that's the thing too is people read that, it's like almost 10 seconds. That's like
Dude.
super slow. Like we need to have a whole dedicated episode to how magazine testers
Add a second plus
absolutely-
to magazine results
Yeah.
for real world.
Oh, more, yeah, like absolutely.
Like 1.1 to 1.5.
Yeah, they launch these things harder than, and way harder than anyone would ever do that if they actually care about what they're driving.
True.
And that's not an offense to them. Like
Yeah.
the manufacturers want them to be
Well, they
the
do
best
math
parts
too.
because they need that.
They're never showing you the exact number off the device because they make adjustments based on altitude and climate, weather conditions.
Yeah.
So they do all this math that you don't get to see. There's a rollout. There's all this
It
stuff.
doesn't start recording until, roll out.
Their car is 30 years newer.
What's interesting is, and not to go too far off the rails here, because we're right at the end of our time here, but the whole concept of the better measurement is 5 to 60 and not 0 to 60, because it accounts for the rollout. It cuts out like launch control mode on a lot of this stuff, because nobody real world is like, oh, I need to pass, and we come to a dead stop and like foot on the brake, foot on the gas, put it in Sport Plus.
But my test is exactly what you'll get if you roll from a stop with these cars.
Sure. So that's probably a better measurement if you were to compare it to a 5 to 60 at a time.
And if you
which is
compare
usually
multiple,
slower.
if you compare multiple cars I test, that's how they stack against each other, right?
Yeah.
So it's useful. It's not the end all metric, but I love it because it shows the overall health of these old cars I'm restoring, and it's kind of cool to see. What they're still throwing down.
It is. It is, especially like compared to like contemporary reviews. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's it. I think this is a wrap, my friend.
Yeah, wrap it up
episode.
every time. Thanks for listening, hanging out. Actually, hopefully, at least getting some enjoyment out of our, ramblings here.
Yeah.
Do all the things. Keep on listening. We're gonna keep these things coming. And yeah, I appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by and listening and watching.
That's it. Toodles.
Take care, guys.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Next time.